Frank Miller stood at the large window of his quarters, looking out at the spinning rings of the Galactic Council station. For 3 years, he had walked the polished halls of this place as Earth's lead ambassador. For 3 years, he had tried to make the aliens understand. Today would be the last time. The message from Earth Command had arrived an hour ago. Simple words on his secure tablet. Negotiations have failed. Return immediately. Frank sighed and straightened his blue uniform. The 17 species of the Council had pushed humans too far. Every request for colony rights had been denied. Every petition to explore beyond the Orion Arm rejected. Every human scientific breakthrough treated with suspicion. Ambassador, the Council is ready, said Linda Ross, his assistant. Her face was tight with worry. Everyone on the human team knew what today meant. Thank you, Linda. Is everyone packed? She nodded. The ship is ready. We can leave as soon as the meeting ends. Frank took a deep breath and followed her through the curved hallways. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved aside as they passed. Some had too many eyes. Others had skin that changed colors. A few floated rather than walked. After 3 years, Frank still found them strange, but no longer frightening. The council chamber was a huge room with seats arranged in rising circles. The human delegation had the smallest section, near the bottom. The oldest council races sat at the top, looking down on everyone else. Ambassador Miller, we understand you have requested this emergency session, said Zixvar, the tall, blue-skinned Aldebaran who led the council. His voice was translated by the small device in Frank's ear. Please explain why you have disrupted our scheduled business. Frank walked to the center of the room. He felt the eyes of hundreds of aliens on him. Honored representatives, he began, using the formal greeting one last time. For 3 years, Earth has attempted to join this community as equals. For 3 years, we have followed your regulations, shared our knowledge, and respected your boundaries. He paused, looking around the chamber. And for 3 years, you have treated humans as children. You have blocked our growth. You have denied us the rights that other species enjoy. Angry murmurs filled the room. Zixvar's skin darkened to deep navy, a sign of displeasure. You forget yourselves, humans, Zixvar said. You are the newest race to achieve faster-than-light travel. The Council has existed for 30 centuries. You must earn your place. And how do we earn it? Frank asked. By giving up our resources. By allowing Council ships to patrol our home system. By following rules we had no part in making. A green-skinned Proximan stood up. Your race advances too quickly. Your technology develops in dangerous directions. The restrictions are for everyone's safety. Frank smiled without humor. That's what we thought you'd say. He pulled out his tablet and read from it. As of this moment, Earth and all human colonies withdraw from all agreements with the Galactic Council. We will no longer recognize Council authority over human space, human ships, or human affairs. The chamber exploded with noise. Some aliens jumped to their feet. Others changed colors rapidly. Zixvar banged a glowing rod on his podium for order. This is unprecedented, he shouted. If you withdraw, you will face consequences. No trade, no protection. No more demands. Frank interrupted. Humanity tried diplomacy. It failed. We will find our own way among the stars. Zixvar's voice turned cold. You have one final chance, Ambassador. Withdraw your statement, or the Council will consider all humans hostile. The room fell silent, waiting. Frank looked the alien leader in his 4 eyes and spoke clearly so everyone would hear. We're done talking. He turned his back on the Council and walked out, the human delegation following behind him. As the doors closed, he heard the chamber erupt into chaos. 2 hours later, the Earth ship broke away from the station, its engines glowing bright against the blackness of space. The Galactic Council was about to learn that humans did not respond well to threats. Captain Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel *Horizon*, watching the display screen with narrow eyes. Dozens of alien ships moved just beyond the edge of human space. They had been there for 3 days, ever since Ambassador Miller's return from the Council station. "They're trying to scare us," said her first officer, Eric Grant. Lisa nodded, "but they haven't crossed the line yet." The Horizon was one of Earth's newest ships, built during the long years of talks with the Council. On the outside, it looked like a simple transport vessel. Inside, it held weapons the aliens didn't know humans had developed. "Message from Earth Command," called out Sam Riley from the communication station. "Put it through," Lisa said. The face of Defense Secretary Alan Russell appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but determined. "Captain Carter, how's the situation?" "Tense, sir. The Council ships are staying just outside our border. I count at least 30 vessels of different alien designs." Russell nodded. "We're seeing similar gatherings at all our boundary points. They're showing force, hoping we'll change our minds." "Will we?" Lisa asked. "No," Russell said firmly. "The decision is made. In fact, I'm calling to inform you about the activation of Project Sentinel." Lisa exchanged a surprised look with Eric. Project Sentinel had been top secret for years. Few people even knew it existed. "Are we that ready to break with the Council completely?" she asked. "We've been ready for months," Russell replied. "The talks were our attempt to avoid this, but the Council left us no choice." The screen split to show another face, General Diane Howard, head of Earth's defense systems. "Captain Carter." The general greeted her. "Project Sentinel goes live in 6 hours. When it does, I want the Horizon to be our eyes and ears at the border. The aliens may respond poorly." "What exactly is Sentinel?" Lisa asked. General Howard smiled slightly. "A defense grid that spans our entire solar system. Once active, no ship can enter Earth space without our permission. The Council's blockade will become meaningless." "They'll see that as a serious move," Eric commented. "Good," Russell said. "It's time they took us seriously." After the call ended, Lisa walked to the viewport. Earth was a small blue marble from this distance. She had grown up there, never dreaming that one day she would be part of humanity's stand against an entire galaxy of older, supposedly wiser beings. Meanwhile, on a small trading outpost near the edge of Council space, Jack Peterson was loading supplies onto his ship when he heard the news. Aliens of 6 different species crowded around public screens, watching reports of the human withdrawal. "You're human," said a voice behind him. Jack turned to see a Drexian, a furry alien with 4 arms. "Is it true? Your people are defying the Council?" Jack shrugged, trying to appear casual. "Looks that way." The alien's ears flattened. "No one defies the Council. They control all major trade routes, all major resources. Maybe it's time someone tried something different," Jack suggested. The Drexian moved closer. "Many of us have thought this, but never dared say it. The Zinthari have controlled the Council for too long." Jack had heard rumors about the secretive Zinthari. They rarely appeared in public, but somehow always got their way in Council votes. "Things might get rough for humans out here," the Drexian warned. "You should go home while you can." Jack nodded and quickened his loading pace. His small trading ship wasn't built for trouble. On the other side of the outpost, a sleek Council enforcement vessel docked. Uniformed officials disembarked, heading straight for the human-owned businesses. They carried official documents, property seizure notices. The ripples from Earth's decision were already spreading across the stars. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the warships of the Nox Theri Empire were quietly changing course. They had been waiting centuries for a crack to appear in the Council's power. That crack had finally come. Jack Peterson was finishing his last trade deal on Centauri Station when the alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed along the curved walls of the trading center. Aliens of all types rushed in different directions, some heading for ships, others seeking shelter. "What's happening?" Jack asked a station worker. "Nox Theri ships," the alien said, his voice shaking. "They've entered the system without permission. The Council Defense Fleet is moving to intercept." Jack froze. The Nox Theri were feared throughout the galaxy. They rarely left their territory, but when they did, destruction followed. "I need to get to my ship," Jack said. Outside the station's large windows, he could see distant flashes of light. The battle had already begun. Jack ran through the crowded corridors, pushing past panicked aliens. His ship, the Star Drifter was docked in Bay 12. It wasn't much to look at. An old cargo hauler patched up too many times, but it had one special feature. 3 years ago, when trade with the Council was still new, Jack had installed an experimental stealth system. It wasn't completely illegal, just not officially approved. The Council didn't like humans having technology they couldn't monitor. By the time Jack reached Bay 12, the station was shaking from nearby explosions. Through the docking bay windows, he saw Council ships breaking apart under Nox Theri fire. The defense fleet was being destroyed. As Jack prepared for launch, his ship's communication system picked up distress calls. Hundreds of civilians were trapped in the station's east wing. The evacuation ships were already full or destroyed. Jack hesitated. The smart move would be to leave immediately. But those people would die if someone didn't help. "I'm going to regret this," he muttered as he changed course. 20 minutes later, the Star Drifter approached the damaged east wing. Jack opened his cargo hold and extended the emergency docking tube. Frightened aliens began to board. Families with children, elderly, injured. Among them was a tall, graceful figure wearing the formal robes of a council member. "I am Ilara," she said when she reached Jack's control room. "I thank you for your aid." Jack recognized her. Ilara was one of the few council members who had supported human interests during the negotiations. "We need to leave now," Jack said. "The Nox Theri are boarding the station." The cargo hold was packed with nearly 200 refugees. The Star Drifter wasn't designed for so many passengers. As Jack pulled away from the station, a Nox Theri battle cruiser turned toward them. "They've seen us," Ilara said quietly. "Maybe not," Jack replied, activating the stealth system. The ship's lights dimmed as power was diverted. A thin field formed around the hull, bending light and sensor readings. The Nox Theri ship fired, but the shots passed to either side of the Star Drifter. Jack kept his hand steady on the controls as they slipped past the enemy vessel. "Human technology," Ilara commented. "The Council said your people were advancing too quickly. Now I see why some feared you." "Right now, that fear is keeping us alive," Jack pointed out. They watched as Centauri Station broke apart under Nox Theri fire. The Council's strongest outpost in this sector was gone. "Where will you take us?" Ilara asked. "Earth," Jack decided. "It's the safest place now." Ilara looked surprised. "Even after the Council threatened your people?" Jack shrugged. "Humans aren't perfect, but we don't abandon people who need help." As the Star Drifter set course for Earth, Jack received a message from other human ships in nearby systems. The Nox Theri weren't just attacking Centauri. They were hitting Council bases everywhere. The Council had focused so much on containing humanity that they had missed the real threat. Now the galaxy was paying the price. Behind them, the remains of Centauri Station burned against the blackness of space. Admiral Susan Wright stood before the large screen in Earth's defense headquarters. The room was filled with military officers and government officials. They all watched as reports came in from across the galaxy. The Nox Theri attacks had spread to 12 star systems. "The Council's forces are scattered," Susan said. "They sent too many ships to blockade us. Now they don't have enough to defend their own worlds." Defense Secretary Alan Russell nodded. "A mistake we can use to our advantage." "What are you suggesting?" asked President Dan Foster. Susan stepped forward. "A new alliance. Many species have suffered under Council rule. Now that the Council is weak, they might join with us instead." "Who would ally with humans?" Someone asked. We're the newcomers. Exactly, Susan replied. We haven't had time to make enemies, and we've just proven we won't bow to the Council's demands. President Foster considered this. Make it happen, Admiral. Find us friends out there. As the meeting ended, a message arrived. Jack Peterson's ship had reached Earth space with refugees from Centauri Station, including a council member named Ilara. Across the solar system, on the red plains of Mars, scientist Paul Garcia made an exciting discovery. For 10 years, humans had secretly studied the ancient ruins found beneath the Martian surface. The Council had forbidden this research, claiming the ruins were dangerous. Hall's team had finally activated one of the old devices. It projected a star map on the wall of the underground chamber. Glowing dots marked hundreds of worlds. These must be all the places where the ruins exist, said Paul's assistant, Beth. Paul shook his head. Not just ruins. Look at the dates. He pointed to symbols next to each dot. These are colonies. Whoever built these ruins had an empire that covered half the galaxy. But that's impossible, Beth said. The Council claims no single species has ever controlled more than a few dozen worlds. Paul looked at her. The Council has lied about many things. They worked through the night, translating more of the ancient writing. By morning, Paul was ready to send an urgent message to Earth Command. Meanwhile, Carol Evans prepared for her first mission as Earth's new diplomatic envoy. She had been chosen to meet with representatives from species who might break away from the Council. Are you nervous? Asked her aide, Jason. A little, Carol admitted. If we fail, Earth stands alone against both the Council and the Nox Theory. Her ship, the Unity was smaller than a military vessel but faster. It would carry her to a secret meeting location where 7 alien species had agreed to talk. The Unity launched from Earth's orbit just as Jack Peterson's ship arrived with the refugees. Carol's path took her past Mars, where she received an encrypted message from Paul Garcia. Whatever you do, his message said, ask the aliens about the precursors. Their reaction will tell you if they can be trusted. Carol didn't know what precursors meant, but she saved the message. Paul's research team had a reputation for important discoveries. 2 days later, the Unity reached the meeting place, an abandoned mining outpost on a small moon. Representatives from the Drexians, Vulturi, and 5 other species were waiting. They looked nervous. We risk much by coming here, said the Vulturi leader, a tall being with silver skin. If the Council learns of this meeting, we will be punished. The Council is busy with the Nox Theory, Carol reminded them, and soon they'll be busy with us too. Humans didn't want this fight, but we won't back down. That is why we are here, said the Drexian representative. Your people have shown courage. Perhaps together we can end the Council's control. Carol looked at each alien face. It was time to test Paul's advice. Before we begin, she said casually, I'd like to ask what you know about the precursors. The reaction was immediate. Several aliens gasped. Others looked away. The Vulturi leader stepped closer to Carol. How, he whispered. Do humans know that name? Mary Collins wiped dust from the strange metal box. The Mars archaeology team had been digging for 3 weeks since Paul Garcia's discovery. Each new chamber they opened contained more evidence of the mysterious precursors. I think I'd found their DNA records, she called to Paul, who was examining writing on a nearby wall. He hurried over as Mary opened the box. Inside were crystal discs, each glowing with faint blue light. Paul carefully connected one to their translation device. This is amazing, he said as images appeared on their screen. The images showed DNA strands, star maps, and what looked like a timeline of evolution. Can you understand any of it? Mary asked. Paul nodded slowly. It's saying the precursors seeded life on thousands of worlds. They were trying to create species that could. He paused, checking the translation. Could what? Mary prompted. Could survive something called the Great Darkness. some kind of threat that nearly wiped them out. Mary moved to another disk. This one shows Earth. They watched as the disk displayed images of early humans, then a series of genetic modifications made by the precursors. The final image showed modern humans with a label that translated as Final Hope. "We're their descendants," Mary whispered. "They chose humans as their last project." Paul sat down heavily. "That's why the Council tried to keep us isolated. They must have known." On the other side of the galaxy, Carol Evans sat with the alien representatives, listening to their explanation of the precursors. "They ruled the stars before any of our species evolved," the Vulture leader told her. "The Council's founding races discovered precursor technology and used it to gain power over everyone else." "Why keep it secret?" Carol asked. "Because," said the Drexian, "the precursors left warnings about a great enemy that would one day return. The Council believes that if they control all precursor sites, they can prepare for this enemy on their terms." "And they didn't want humans involved?" Carol asked. The aliens exchanged looks. "There are legends," the Vulture said carefully, "about the precursors creating one final species before they vanished. A species that carried their genetic legacy." Carol felt a chill. "Humans. We suspected," the Drexian admitted. "Your rapid technological development matches the patterns described in ancient texts. The Council feared you would claim the precursors' legacy." Meanwhile, near Earth, Jack Peterson's ship arrived with the refugees. Council member Ilara was taken to meet with Earth's leaders. "I always argued that humans should know the truth," she told them. "The Council was wrong to hide it." "Why are you telling us now?" asked Defense Secretary Russell. "Because the Noxtheri aren't just attacking Council worlds," Ilara explained. "They're targeting precursor sites. They're looking for something specific." President Foster leaned forward. "What are they looking for?" "The Nexus Key," Ilara said. "A device that can activate all precursor technology at once. The Council has searched for it for centuries without success." Back on Mars, Mary made another discovery. In a small chamber below the main ruins, she found a pedestal holding a crystal sphere. When she touched it, the sphere lit up with intricate patterns. "Paul," she called. "I think you should see this." He joined her, eyes widening at the glowing sphere. "What is it?" Mary checked the translation of symbols around the pedestal. "It says, 'The Key to Awakening.'" Paul's hand shook as he activated his communication device. "We need to contact Earth now. I think we just found what everyone in the galaxy is looking for." As they prepared their message, sensors around the dig site detected approaching ships. They weren't Earth vessels. The distinctive red glow of their engines marked them as Noxtheri. Somehow, the enemy had found them. Commander Henry Mitchell led his team through the smoke-filled corridors of Arcturus Prime, the Galactic Council headquarters. Alarms blared as aliens ran in all directions. Some carried weapons, others important files. The entire station was in chaos. "Stay together," Henry ordered his squad. "Our mission is to get our people out. Nothing more." 5 human diplomats were still trapped on the station when the Noxtheri attack began. Henry's team of 8 soldiers had been sent to bring them home. "2 levels down," said Lucy Hart, his second in command. The diplomats were in meeting room 17 when the attack started. They moved quickly, avoiding the main corridors where fighting was heaviest. Through side passages they went, hearing the sounds of battle grow louder. "Commander, look." Lucy pointed to a large window overlooking the council chamber. Below them, council members argued loudly as explosions shook the station. In the center stood Zixper, the council leader who had threatened Earth. He shouted for order, but few listened. Suddenly, a group of figures in dark armor entered the chamber. They moved with deadly purpose, weapons drawn. The Noxtheri had reached the heart of the council. "We should go," Henry said, turning away. A single shot rang out. Through the window, Henry saw Zixpar fall. The council's supreme leader was dead, assassinated by the Noxtheri. Panic erupted in the chamber. Now, Henry urged his team forward. Before this gets worse, they found the human diplomats barricaded in their meeting room. All 5 were unharmed but frightened. "Thank God," said one diplomat, Greg Davis. "We thought everyone had forgotten us." "Earth doesn't leave its people behind," Henry assured him. "Now let's move. Our ship is waiting at Docking Bay 4. As they made their way back through the station, a blast knocked them into a side room. The door sealed automatically, trapping them inside. "It's a security center," Lucy observed, looking at the screens that covered one wall. The screens showed different parts of the station, including a large hangar where Nox Theory soldiers were unloading equipment. "What are they bringing in?" Greg asked, squinting at the screen. Henry zoomed in the camera. "That's not attack gear. Those are scanning devices. They're looking for something." Another screen showed Nox Theory officers reviewing station maps. One area was circled, the Council's secret vault. "Can you access station records from here?" Henry asked Lucy. She sat at the control panel. "I think so. What am I looking for?" "Anything about plans against Earth." Lucy's fingers moved over the controls. "I'm in. There's a lot here. Wait." Her face grew pale. "Commander, you need to see this." The screen showed detailed plans for a massive weapon, a planet killer. Next to it were coordinates for Earth. "They were going to use this against us," Greg whispered. "And now the Nox Theory have the plans," Henry said grimly. "We need to warn Earth." He tried his communication device, but the signal was blocked. Too much interference from the battle. "We'll have to get to our ship." Lucy found a maintenance tunnel that would take them to the docking bay. As they crawled through the narrow space, Henry couldn't stop thinking about what they'd discovered. The Council had been planning to destroy Earth all along. The negotiations had been a distraction. They reached their ship just as another explosion rocked the station. Through the viewport, they saw Nox Theory cruisers surrounding Arcturus Prime. The seat of galactic power for 3,000 years was falling. As their ship pulled away, Greg looked back at the burning station. What happens now? With the Council destroyed and the Nox Theory rising, what chance does Earth have? Henry entered the course for Earth at maximum speed. We have what they don't. The truth about the precursors. And if what we've learned is correct, we may have their legacy too. The ship jumped to faster than light travel, racing to deliver its warning. Behind them, Arcturus Prime broke apart in a final explosion. The Council was no more. Earth's defense fleet gathered near Mars. 30 ships formed a protective ring around the planet where Mary Collins and her team worked to understand the Nexus Key. Long-range sensors showed the Nox Theory fleet approaching. 50 warships led by their largest vessel, the Planet Killer. "We're outnumbered," Admiral Susan Wright told the gathered captains via video link. "But we have 2 advantages. Project Sentinel is fully active, and we have allies on the way." On Earth, final preparations for Project Sentinel were underway. The defense grid powered up across the solar system, creating an invisible shield. In theory, it could stop any attack. But it had never been tested against a weapon as powerful as the Planet Killer. Kevin Ward checked the systems of his experimental ship, the Lightbringer*. It was the fastest vessel humans had ever built, designed using principles from the Martian ruins. "Your mission is clear," General Howard told him. "If the defense grid fails, you must disable the Planet Killer's main weapon." Kevin nodded. It was a suicide mission, but he had volunteered. The fate of Earth might depend on it. On Mars, Mary and Paul worked frantically to activate the Nexus Key. The crystal sphere glowed brighter as they connected it to their equipment. "The key is designed to communicate with all precursor technology," Mary explained to Earth Command. "If we can activate it properly, it might give us control of defenses built thousands of years ago." "What defenses?" asked President Foster over the video link. "We don't know exactly," Paul admitted, "but the records suggest the precursors built a network throughout the galaxy." The president looked grim. We can't count on unknown technology. Prepare to evacuate Mars. We'll make our stand at Earth." Before they could respond, alarms sounded. The Nox Theory had arrived. The battle began in the darkness between Mars and Earth. Human ships fired their newest weapons, inflicting damage on the enemy fleet. The Nox Theory responded with overwhelming force, their superior numbers pushing back the defenders. "We need more time." Mary called to Paul as the ground shook from distant explosions. "The key is almost ready." Then something unexpected happened. New ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, dozens of vessels of different designs. On the command channel, Admiral Wright received a message. "This is Carol Evans on the Allied ship Unity *. We bring friends." The ships from 17 different species joined the battle, attacking the Nox Theory from behind. Caught between two forces, the enemy fleet struggled to maintain formation. But the planet killer pushed forward, absorbing damage as it moved toward Earth. Its main weapon began to glow as it charged. "Project Sentinel is fully active," reported General Howard. "We'll know in moments if it can hold." Kevin Ward launched the Lightbringer *, accelerating to incredible speed. His ship was nearly invisible on sensors, another adaptation from precursor technology. On Mars, Mary made a final adjustment to the Nexus key. The sphere rose from its mount, hovering in the air. Patterns of light spread from it, covering the walls of the ancient chamber. "It's working," Paul shouted. Across the solar system, hidden precursor artifacts activated. On distant moons, beneath the surfaces of planets, in asteroid fields, devices that had been dormant for millennia came to life. The planet killer fired its main weapon at Earth. A beam of energy more powerful than anything humans had seen before struck the Project Sentinel shield. The shield held for 3 seconds, then began to fail. At that moment, Kevin piloted the Lightbringer * directly into the planet killer's weapon port. His ship carried a special payload, a device built using the principles Mary had discovered, designed to disrupt energy patterns. The planet killer's beam faltered, then disappeared as systems throughout the massive ship began to fail. At the same time, the Nexus key completed its activation sequence. Mary and Paul watched in awe as ancient weapons fired from a dozen locations in the solar system. The Nox Theory fleet was caught in a web of energy that disabled their ships without destroying them. The battle was over in minutes. 2 days later, representatives from 30 species gathered on Earth to sign a new alliance. Among them were former council members, independent worlds, and even some Nox Theory who had opposed the war. "Today we begin a true galactic community," President Foster announced. "Not ruled by fear or secrets, but built on cooperation and truth." As the ceremony concluded, long-range sensors detected unusual energy readings from deep space. Mary Collins studied the data and felt a chill of recognition. The patterns matched warnings in the precursor records. The great darkness was coming. But this time, the galaxy would face it united.